WMFD.com. It is Coffee Talk with Jay Fox, brought to you in part by the Cove Coffee Shop in Ontario, Ohio. And joining us via Zoom today is Dr. Natalie Candela from Awakened Hypnosis. Natalie, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Jay?
I'm doing great. So you are a candidate for the most fascinating person of the year, in my opinion.
Wow. Is that true?
It is true. And it even says so in the notes. Most fascinating person.
Well, then it must be true.
It has to be true. So how, if you got on an elevator and somebody joined you and said, what do you do? What would you say in a sentence? Because it's so complex.
Well, I'm a hypnotherapist and a transformation coach. I guess that would be in a sentence.
Okay. And for the lay person, most people understand the concept of hypnotherapy, but transformation coach it's kind of a vagary. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Of course. So, people sometimes come to a point where they feel that something is not working in their life, or they think of the dreams that they have that they haven't been able to achieve. They think that it's time to change something. It's time to shift something in my life, but I'm afraid that I'm going to fail, or there are certain things that are going to stop me from achieving what I want. And so they're ready for transformation. They're ready to really change the direction of their life. Or sometimes they are not quite sure what they want to achieve. They're ready for something new. But there are certain things that are stopping us, the old baggage that we carry around, the beliefs, the fears, the doubts, things like that. And so what I do is I help them create the transformation that they want to create in their life. And that transformation can be very different for different people. So there is not like one definite thing that I do. I just work with each person individually, help them create the vision of what they want, and then help them make that transition. And sometimes they discover in the process, the things that they need to overcome, that maybe were so hidden they weren't even aware of them. And sometimes they discover in the process the new things they want to create. So this transformation process could sometimes be very revealing and very unexpected, and it's not something that they have mapped out before they started. It's just sort of an open road for people who are ready to make a change. And many of us want to make a change. I mean, I myself made a complete turnaround just about 6 years ago. So I'm very familiar with that shift in life that we want to make. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing when we're ready to rethink the direction of our life. And it's very normal.
And let's talk about that for a minute, because your background is as an educator. And as a teacher, you are helping people to transform their lives. You are providing them with a gateway to information and possibility. And what a natural ascendancy to do what you're doing now from being a teacher, because you're still guiding people through a process and teaching them in a way.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought it up, because yes, that is absolutely what's happening. So the interesting thing, or it's interesting to me, I guess, is that I knew that I wanted to be, I knew that I was a teacher when I was 7 years old. When kids are asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I knew at 7 what I was. And it never changed. So I walked that path of teaching. I was in education for most of my career, in all levels of education. And I wasn't just a teacher. I was in support services. I was in different functions, but they were always, always, always connected to education. And then 6 years, when my transition started, all of a sudden, in a span of 1 week, I lost all my passion for the direction of my career, where the week before, I was thinking about promotion. I was thinking about moving forward in that path. I was thinking that I was always going to be in higher education where I was at that time. And then all of a sudden I lost all of my passion.
Now, hang
And it
on a
was,
second, because, you said it was almost abrupt.
oh, very abrupt.
Right.
Yes.
So 1 week we're at point A, then
Right.
a week later we're completely 180 degrees at point B.
Yes.
What happened? Do you
Nothing.
know? You don't know.
Nothing happened. Well, I mean, I know on a sort of psychological, spiritual level what happened. I got a call that, hey, wake up, it's time to shift. It's time to move to the next step. You're done here. It's time to move on. On a very human level, it was terrifying because when you have passion for something, and I love work, I mean, work defines me. It was terrifying because I lost my identity. Because since 7 years old, I knew I was a teacher in whatever teacher meant at that, to me, that meant education. And then all of a sudden I lose it without really anything particular happening.
Did you fight the process at first?
Um, I, probably not. Yes, it is. It is. I fought it in a sense that how do you live without an identity? Like, how do I move on? How do I go on with my life if everything that made sense to me before does not make sense anymore? How do you, I mean, I was in my mid 40s, early 40s, and I was thinking, I still have more than half of my life to go. How do I go through it without feeling so completely lost, feeling so without a passion? I mean, it was terrifying. But my kind of spiritual beliefs and spiritual reality is very important to me. And it's very real to me. And so I knew that I was being guided to something else. I just had to discover what it was. And as painful as the process was, it seemed like the only path because there was no way to go back. It seemed like there was nothing to go back to. So I started doing research. I started just looking for clues. I set an intention because setting an intention drives your energy and direction in that direction. And so I set an intention that I will discover what it is that I'm supposed to do next. And so that through a series of synchronicities and sort of signals and things that fell into my lap led me to hypnotherapy and the work that I do now. And what's interesting, go back to your original question about how teaching, this is an extension of teaching. What it led me to do over the course of 5-6 years is to redefine what being a teacher was. Mm-hmm. Because I still maintain that in this life, my purpose is being a teacher, but now I'm teaching in a different way. I'm being a guide, a personal guide, a personal support system. And the teaching that I give is more teaching of wisdom. In fact, my coaching is called Core Wisdom. And the reason I called it that is because I'm part of what's called the Lemurian Sisterhood. And Lemurian Sisterhood refers to Lemuria, which is, you could call it myth or legend, but it was a time sort of before Atlantis. And it's the ancient Hawaii. It's the mountain underneath what we know now as Hawaii. And that time was sort of like the Garden of Eden. It was perfect life it was an island. And this was the time when we were learning the truth about our divinity, about who we were. And it was taught around the whole planet. I mean, there were spots where people were learning everywhere. But Lemuria was special because it was self-contained. It was an island, so it maintained its purity and intensity of knowledge. And what was happening at that time, women were revered and known as the guides of humanity, the spiritual guides of humanity. they still are. We just have forgotten that. But women are the portal of humanity. Women are the doorway that connects the spirit to the physical. Women are
Sure.
the literal portal for all of humanity to pass through. So the love and compassion for life is at the most intense within women. We have that connection to intuition. That's why they talk about women's intuition. That connection to love and compassion, that is natural to us. And so women were teachers, they were the guides. Men came to women to ask for advice, to ask for guidance on anything from spiritual things to very practical, like when is a good day or a good time to fish, or where should I fish? You know, they had that intuitive knowledge. And so in this life, I'm reconnecting with that knowledge, and I'm getting back to that shamanic knowledge and incorporating into my teaching.
Now, you used a phrase, you said, in this life.
Mm-hmm.
That implies that there have been other lives. and that is part of what you do. Talk to me a little bit about the concept of exploring past lives, and because it is such a difficult concept and there is so much skepticism about hypnotherapy and past life regression in general, how do you get past that?
Well, I don't really try to get past that, simply because I don't try to convince people. You know, if a person is not ready, then it's not necessary for them. You know, okay. This is not anything that should be forced upon anybody. And the reason I said in this current life is because it's just so natural to me to see life as a sort of a bigger picture than just this one, you know, event, this one life. That's kind of part of my vocabulary. But the people that are drawn to me are people that are open to these concepts. Now, there is skepticism or sometimes fear about hypnosis itself. And I always talk to my clients about, with everyone before we have regular hypnotherapy session, I explain to them what hypnosis is. And it's not the type of thing, it's not stage hypnosis that some people have seen, because that's a very different theatrical kind of concept. Therapeutic hypnosis leaves every person completely in control and doesn't take control away from them. So it's a very relaxing and empowering process, and not scary at all. So people that come for regular behavioral hypnotherapy, they leave feeling better. So I don't have to really convince them. If they do need to be convinced and they're open to it, I explain it to them and they usually feel at ease. But if I need to fight them on this, then they're not, then I wouldn't do it, because it's not going to work, because they are always in control.
So when you talk about behavioral hypnosis, are we talking about, ways to stop smoking and things of that nature?
Yeah, so behavioral hypnosis is any behavioral change that you want to create. And it can be, I'm afraid of flying. I want to, get back to flying airplanes, so that's the change I want to create. Or I'm smoking, I want to quit. Or I want to lose weight. Or for kids, it could be their bedwetting and they need to change that. Or it could be I'm procrastinating. I have a project that I want to complete, but, I can't sort of get to it, or I keep stopping myself. Or I want to be more successful, but I keep sabotaging myself. So it's really any number of things. You can work with athletes. I had a kid who wanted to be better at making shots in basketball. So we worked on that. So it's any behavioral change that you want to help yourself with, because what happens is, the reason things don't happen is that we have a conscious intention, we have a conscious desire to make things happen, but there is a subconscious programming that has a different direction, that is working against it. And that subconscious programming accounts for about 88% of our behavior, and only 12% accounts for conscious thinking. So when your conscious mind says, I'm ready to quit smoking, I want to, there's 88% behind it that says, but remember how it made you feel accepted by the peers when you smoked. That was a good thing. You want to do that. You don't want to be not be accepted, so even though it no longer makes sense to a conscious mind, the program keeps working. And so in hypnosis, we allow the conscious mind to relax a little bit, go into the subconscious, and begin to change the associations that were created between, if you smoke, you are accepted. One equals the other. Right. We start changing those associations so that conscious and subconscious are on the same page. And so they start working together, and then you can achieve your
So you're creating harmony.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Yes.
So yes. What do you do for the habitual liar who wants to stop lying? I would imagine that would be far more complex.
Yes, I can't say that I have ever worked with somebody who came in and said, I am a liar and I want to stop lying, because I don't know if they will want to admit that. But if they are, then what we do is we'll look there, again, the subconscious, the 88%, is a bank of memories, is a bank of associations. So we start exploring what it was that created the positive association between lying means something good, because all our behavior has the intention of our subconscious mind is to save us, to preserve us, to help us survive. It's survival, right? So at some point, lying became a positive thing for survival. So we need to find that connection, and we need to change that association, and we need to release that link that says, if you lie, it helps you. And we need to change it into, if you lie, it actually works against you. If consciously the person wants to change.
Wants to do it.
Right. Because otherwise there's still going to be disharmony.
Right. It sounds like we're rewiring things.
Absolutely. That's what we do. Yes.
So let's get back to the concept of the past life.
Yes.
Why would somebody want to explore who they were before they were born? What's the purpose of that?
So, interestingly enough, I think it's changing. What it used to be was, well, one was just curiosity. When people started being open to the idea that maybe this is not the only life we'll live, which it would make sense if you see us as spirit that puts on a physical sort of costume, a physical body, and then after death, we take the physical body off and we go back into the spirit form. So it would make sense then that we would come back and do it multiple times, because why would we only do it once? It's like an actor only playing a role in one play and then saying, well, I guess my career is done. You'd want to repeat that experience. So curiosity was one. But the other thing that is, I think, more profound is that we carry baggage from life to life. And it would make sense if you think about it in terms of even our current life, right? If you're in a relationship or in your childhood, whatever things happened, they affect you. You bring them with you, often subconsciously, into the rest of your life. So you go into the next relationship, you bring things that with you that you experienced before, or you bring with you things that you experienced in your childhood. We don't just sort of experience things and erase them. We carry them with us. So it would make sense that we carry them, if we live multiple lives, through lives as well. If you think about a phobia, for example, that's a perfect example or sort of evidence, I guess, of this concept. A phobia is a fear that doesn't have a clearly explained source. Like, it's not like a dog bit me when I was 10 and now I'm afraid of dogs. It's more like I'm afraid of birds, but a bird never did anything to me. I don't know why I'm afraid of them. So usually when people have phobias, there is some event in the past that does explain why it happened, but they can't connect it with anything in their present experience. So that may be an example where they carry something from their past life. And so they may want to go back and figure out what it was to release it, because they don't want to be afraid of birds in this life. It stops them. And so they want to go back, heal that experience energetically, and then be free of it. So that has been the curiosity, and the healing of kind of the trauma of the past has been really a major impetus before.
So
but what's happening?
You said two things. Before you go on, I want to go back to two things you said. One, you said, why would we not come back over and over again? What that implies is that there are infinite possibilities for lifetimes. Is there any limitation to how many lives someone can live? And are you suggesting that the soul is something that never dies?
I am suggesting that the soul is something that never dies. And no, there are no limitations. That's my current belief. You know, I believe that our knowledge evolves. So I don't know everything in the universe. If I did, I wouldn't be in this little body.
We'd have a few questions for you if you did.
Right. I would be the all there is.
The oracle.
Right. But at my current level of knowledge, I believe that a soul is eternal, and it has, I mean, the world, the universe, the existence is its playground, and it experiences life. It knows itself through its experience. So we experience life in very different realities. Earth is definitely not the only place where there is life. Life is teeming, or the universe is teeming with life. And so this is just the human experience that we're talking about. These are the lives on the planet Earth that we have had. But we are all alien beings as far as we understand aliens, meaning we have all come from different places, because Earth has only been here for whatever it has been here. It is not eternal. You know, scientists can date it. So we were somewhere else before, and we do go to other places at other times, and we'll go after the Earth is gone. So our experiences are unlimited. They will be limited on Earth, because it will be limited by the span of the Earth, or the span of what we choose to do. But
a lot of people think we are careening towards the end of that time right now.
Yeah, I don't believe so. I think we have just entered a new age, and I think we are actually moving towards we are in the ascension period. But in terms of human history, we're in the first minutes of the ascension period, meaning our consciousness is elevating. We are becoming more conscious, more aware spiritually, but we're just the first minutes of it. So we're pretty newborn in terms of that, in terms of our awareness. We have a long way to go.
So in terms of the services that you offer, you are a certified both hypnotherapist and master hypnotist. You are also a quantum healing hypnosis technique level 1 instructor and advanced handwriting analysis individual. You have background in neurolinguistics and timeline therapy. What is the thing that most people seek you out for?
Okay, before I get to that, let me just make a tiny correction. Sure. I'm not an instructor of quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is QHHT. I'm a practitioner.
Practitioner, okay, got it.
What do people seek out? You know, different people seek out different things. I almost have like two sides to my practice. So there are people who are just living their regular day life, and they don't really have any sort of spiritual inclinations, or they are very spiritually sort of traditional in a religious sense, which is perfectly fine. but they come in purely for just behavioral changes. You know, they, like we talked about, they want to just make changes in their life, and they want to maybe accomplish something in their life. And so many people come in with issues of stress, anxiety, fear of failure, things of that nature. A lot of smoking cessation. And then I have the clientele that is looking for that spiritual exploration. They want to understand themselves better as a spirit. They want to understand, get a broader perspective on their life. Sometimes they want to understand the relationships that they have now. Have they been with those people before? Why are they having the issues that they have right now? And so those are the people that come in for past life regression. I also work with people who have had UFO experiences. And so they come in for, you know, just to explore their specific experiences because they have partial memory of them. But for the, if I could just get back for a second to the why we do past life regression, I was going to say that now there is a shift, because now there is a new opportunity opening up for why you would even do that. And so people come in for that. What it is that we have what's called an Akashic record. Akashic record is sort of like a memory bank of the soul. It's everything that we have ever experienced as a soul through multiple lifetime experiences. And that bank has, of course, all the negative and all the positive experiences that we've had, all the weaknesses and all the strengths that we've accumulated as a soul. Typically, what comes to the surface, or in the past, what has come to the surface is the thing that had sort of that had the loudest voice, and what had the loudest voice was the trauma. So that's why the things that the things that popped up in this life were traumatic things. Like, I'm afraid of the birds because that traumatized me the most. That's what comes to the surface. But since 2012, since there has been a shift in sort of energy in our consciousness and our human direction, what is possible to come to the surface are the positive experiences, the positive events. And so what it means is that we can begin to tap into our memory bank of a soul and bring forward the strengths that we had, that we could use right now, because these are our skills. These are our things. We have developed them. We have earned them. They're not secret. We just don't remember them. So, for example, I want to be a better public speaker, but actually, I don't really like public speaking. So I want to be a better public speaker. There might have been, or I should say, there must have been an experience, some sort of life, some life in my long life experience, because I'm pretty sure I've had many, where I was a pretty good public speaker. Well, I want to bring that back. I want to go back and remember when that was and bring that strength back now so I can have it now. So now past life regression could be not to go back to trauma, but go back to a powerful event. Remember that and bring it and incorporate it into my conscious memory right now. So that's a very different,
sure,
very powerful, empowering approach that I really love doing.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. We will have to do another one of these, and I'm sure we could do several of these, each individual subject matter. If you'd like to know more about Dr. Natalie Candela, the website is awakenedhypnosis.com. That's awakenedhypnosis.com. We thank you for being with us on Coffee Talk today. This is sponsored in part by the Cove Coffee Shop in Ontario, Ohio, and a product of WMFD TV. And it can be found on the Coffee Talk portion of the WMFD.com website. I'm Jay Fox. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll be talking with you again soon.